All right, so we are now live. Should I just run? I'm just going to run through the main thing just real quick and just get this over. So, welcome to Chatterday. My name is Dave_Loudon, and you are listening to episode number 5 of my podcast. Each week, I bring you a different small streamer to talk about their channel and who they are as a person. I also look. I also. Apparently, I can't just. I'm just trying to get through my thing, and I can't do it today. I just can't do it. You know what? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take it from the top. And we're gonna pretend I didn't do that, and then I'm just gonna cut it for the YouTube video on the podcast because I can do that. Take two. Okay. Hello and welcome to Chatterday. My name is Dave_Loudon, and you are listening to episode number 5 of my podcast. Each week I bring you a different small streamer to talk about their channel and who they are as a person. I also like to look at this as a chance for you to be introduced to an awesome new streamer. If you're watching this live on twitch.tv/Dave_Loudon, stick around after the interview and we're going to play a few hours of games and just kind of bullshit around. Our guest today is hailing from the sunny state of Florida. It is ex-subjected sins, or just subjected sins, or just sins, as I'm probably going to call him most of this podcast. How you doing today, man? There's enough, legitimately, there's enough people out there, streaming, and people who want to be streaming that just don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? I don't know the statistics. It'd be interesting to look into that, but how many people are actually joining Twitch every day to just start streaming and have no idea what to do? It's got to be a fairly large number.
99.999%.
Well, not just that, but just how many actual people are trying to get on every day? How many people are joining Twitch with the intention to stream every day? You know what I mean? It's got to be in the thousands.
Yes. I can actually give you an estimated number on that. So it's probably different now, but it used to be somewhere along the lines of, for every 10 streamers that start streaming, one will stay on the platform 3 months later.
That seems about right.
Everybody else will quit and become a viewer and just stick to viewing, or they'll just move on with their life.
Well, I think a lot of people don't even know where to. I mean, they get on and they're expecting to be like a Dr. Lupo or a Tim the Tap Man, and thousands of people are going to come into their stream. And the reality of the situation is most people who continue to stream, even if it's for 2, 3, 4 years, they don't even. I mean, their average views are still around 10, 15. You know what I mean? And that's just the reality of the situation. I mean, they even dip lower than that. I mean, there are days when I'm streaming and I only have 2 people in there. But it's one of those things where it's you got to remember those 2 people are still taking time out of their day to come stream with you. You know what I mean? And hang out with you. And you got to find the victory in the little things like that. And every once in a while you have big streams. I mean, it just happens. Your stream will just blow up. And that's just, maybe you'll get a good raid, or maybe this or that'll happen. And you have a bunch of people in there hanging out. And you just got to capitalize on those opportunities. You know what I mean?
It's true.
And I also think that a lot of times you have... How do I put this? You only get so many opportunities, and you always have people coming in and out. I mean, 1 month you'll have X, Y, and Z person in your stream hanging out. The next month you'll have, ABC hanging out in your group. And it kind of people come in and out, but getting that, sometimes I think it's hard to get someone to stick around with you for a long period of time and keep coming in your streams. And I don't know why that is.
So I actually do know why that is. It's a lot of outside factors that kind of take place into that. And the biggest one is probably the most important to remember, which is everybody has their own life.
Yeah.
It's easy to get lost in yourself as a content creator, even with doing it for as long as I have. And speaking of which, it's been 3 years and 1 month for me at this point.
Oh, cool.
Even I'll still get lost in that sense of, well, where the hell is everybody?
Yeah.
I normally have a lot more people than this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have to remind myself that these people are in all different age groups. You've got people from 13 and up coming into your channel. People between 13 and 18 got so many different things going on. Especially because of why I started my channel, I've seen a lot of this. So a couple things is, during the summer, you always get more views because it's summer vacation. And I'd say about 60%, if not 65% of Twitch's viewer base are people under the age of 16.
I would probably
And
agree with that. Yeah.
I would say 40% of it are people under the age of 13, even though that's technically against Twitch terms of service.
I bet you it's lower than that. I would say the key demographic is 13 to 18, and then you have a slew of people. I think it goes down from there from so like 18 to 25, and then
I would
30
agree with
35.
you 3 years ago, but think about how many parents take an iPad and throw it in their kid's face and are just like, here you go.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like a lot of those kids are on the YouTubes, like the little kids.
They are.
So you gotta
Until Twitch started becoming extremely popular about a year and a half ago, and every single YouTuber started advertising themselves on Twitch.
That's true. That's true.
It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You start with YouTube, you find Twitch, you find everything else. Like if you have a Facebook Kids account,
Yeah.
then you can still see gaming videos and everything like that of streamers who don't have their channel set to 18 plus. So there's multiple ways,
Yeah.
and a lot of streamers, believe it or not, actually stream on multiple platforms at once. And I've considered this multiple times.
Yeah.
But I've made such a following on Twitch that in all honesty, it would kind of hurt me personally, if I'm being honest, to have to switch because one of the other platforms started to gain a lot more traction.
And since you're affiliated, I don't think you can. You know what I mean?
Wrong. Actually. You're right, but wrong at the same time. You're allowed to stream on a different platform with Twitch, but only if you aren't a partner.
I thought it was affiliate too.
You know, they may have changed it. They did change their terms of service on the 21st of the last month. So that's something that's worth looking into. Can you stream on multiple platforms on Twitch?
Because like I used to stream on multi-stream on Facebook and on Twitch, and I think it has to do with once you're affiliated, you're basically part of their guidelines, and so you can't release your content for 24 hours if it's already up on Twitch. I think you can go to like stream exclusively on, like let's say it's on Facebook as well.
Oh, they did change it.
Yeah,
you're right.
They own that content if you're streaming on their platform and you're affiliated.
You're right. Yeah. Okay, so what it's saying is you can immediately end your stream and then go stream on Facebook or
Correct.
YouTube or something like that,
Correct.
But you cannot stream on two platforms at once. Okay, so what that means is that I don't think that YouTube and Facebook have anything against this, which means that you can still stream to YouTube and
in general
Facebook at the same time.
But they
Mixer, if that was still a thing, but we all know that got the chopping block.
No, that's now Facebook. Basically, Zizu says, "True, but do they really care?"
So
I think it depends on how popular you are and if they're going to go back and review your content. To be honest,
I agree on that statement. I do know that with APIs being involved, they can tell from their server bases, "Hey, this person is breaking terms of service."
Interesting.
Yeah, I guarantee you they've got an API that's like, this person is streaming to this, and this at the same time.
Well, I know like on Facebook, I used to multi-stream to Facebook as well, congruently. And like I stopped doing it just because of terms of service, but honestly, it really wasn't getting me anywhere being affiliated on Twitch and then having Facebook on the side. I wasn't getting any views. The chat was, I could get it to show up, but it wasn't as there. And honestly, like most of my viewership from Facebook was coming from like weird island countries, and like it was very odd people that it was reaching. And so I was just kind of like, I don't know, man, I'm not into this.
See, that's a fair point actually, because that is something that happens a lot with Facebook. So with Facebook's algorithm, the way that they make it work is it's actually a lot like TikTok.
Yeah.
They throw it to people who are not going to be interested in you. And if those people take interest in you, then they know that you have good content, and they throw you to a bunch more people.
Interesting.
So let's take it like I'll use imaginary numbers to give a better picture here. Say it throws it to 10 people.
Yeah.
Let's say over 5 of those people enjoyed your content. Let's say 6 or 7.
Yeah.
It's going to throw that to another 100 people.
Interesting.
Let's say about half of those people enjoy the content. It's going to take that and it's going to throw it to another 100 people.
Okay.
Then it might throw it up to 500 people. Then it might throw it up to 750, then 1,000. And it'll continue to throw it to more and more people on their newsfeed until you reach a point where it's like, hey, every single time we show this content to new people, it is gaining traction. People are enjoying it.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is good content. And then it will just flood people's pages with it.
Interesting.
And the great part about Facebook is if you like the page, Facebook thinks you're obsessed with it.
And they'll just plaster it all over the place for that person.
Everywhere. In your notifications, in your news feed. Yep. There's this guy named Lord Kaiban, I think, that I've followed on Facebook just because he was doing some GTA Online roleplay in a modded server. And I thought it was pretty cool because, you know, Grand Theft Auto roleplay, nobody's just running around killing each other. Players have to take the roles of like actual jobs like cops. So if a player goes around and tries to do something illegal, it's allowed because it's a roleplay server.
Yeah.
But the players that are cops are going to come for your ass.
Interesting. I didn't know that was exactly what you could do. That's kind of
cool. Neither did I. So I thought it was really cool.
So he just has a bunch of people in there, like cops and bad guys, and they just kind of.
You can literally do anything. You can be a doctor.
Oh, that's bizarre, man. I don't know if I'm in.
Right?
That's like
you can be a doctor.
That's like
you can
some
be a cop.
Second Life type of shit right there. You know what I mean?
It really is. It's like true role play.
Oh, that's bizarre.
But you know, I it was something that like I'd watch every now and then. It's interesting enough.
Yeah.
So I followed the page. Let me tell you, when I followed that page the next week, I had to manage my notification settings.
That's insane. And that's why I don't like Facebook so much. I get so many notifications, I just ignore them. You get so many notifications through Facebook, they're meaningless. You know what I mean? And that's part of the problem with actually streaming on that platform, I feel like, is that exact same thing you're talking about, is that if you get inundated with this stuff, you're just going to start ignoring it. So
you know, that is a very good point. However, I will say for people who have nothing to do and a short attention span, aka children, it's literally the perfect advertising method because think about it. What did we do when we were kids and we were watching TV and cartoons?
Watch the TV and cartoons.
Exactly. You wouldn't get up during commercials to go fuck around and do anything half the time, would you?
No, you just watch commercials.
Okay, were you watching commercials in the 90s? Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, stuff like that?
Yeah, dude.
The Wizard 101 commercial is burned in your head, isn't it?
I honestly don't know that one.
Really?
Yeah.
What about Sock and Boppers?
Sock and Bopper, I remember, or Bop It, just in general.
Bop It. Exactly.
Yeah,
all of those commercials that you saw a million times got stuck in your head. Facebook is taking that advertisement method and doing the exact same thing.
Just amplifying it on a much more sophisticated level, probably.
Sophisticated and personal level because it's all tailored for you.
Gotta love that. Gotta love that. But the thing is dude, I feel like it gets to an even creepier level when I'm talking. Let's just say I'm saying like anything near my phone, like, oh man, I need to pick up dryer sheets. All of a sudden, fucking Bounty shows up on my goddamn, and like Snuggles the Bear shows up on my stream, and I'm like, or not stream, but my feed, and I'm like, what is going on here? Why is my phone listening to me like this? Wizard 101, PK is saying Wizard 101 is imprinted on my brain for life, and dude, that and Club Penguin. I am too old for Club Penguin, but I know what Club Penguin is. It was probably the first.
I refuse to play that game.
People loved that back then. They loved it.
Oh, they were obsessed. Actually, no, now that I think about it, I think I did actually have a profile because I played it like once just because I was really bored. I was in like sixth grade and I was being homeschooled for the last part of that year due to like problems with school. And so I was bored every day, and I think I saw a commercial for it, and finally I was like, I'll just do it. And I never touched it again.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I never touched it again.
To me, that was like the ultimate gimmick, and it was probably the first like thing of its time where it was like an online thing that kids would all go to play. It was like Roblox for its time, basically, and it was. I think it was a little bit advanced for what it was, you know what I mean? Like, and I think parents didn't really understand it because it wasn't really a normal thing. And so
it wasn't a, hey, complete this puzzle. It wasn't a, hey, go finish this storyline. It wasn't a platformer or a Zelda
It was a
dungeon
bunch of different
crawler.
games kind of mashed together, wasn't it? And you just went on there and you kind of socialized with other kids, and you like, I mean,
It was a minigame platform.
apparently it was just ripe for pedophiles, from what I understand. But
Oh, yes, absolutely, because it was advertised for kids, and so
yeah,
everybody was on there for a kid. A
oh,
pedophile was on
gross.
there and got a
Oof.
field day,
No, I think that's what initially ended up killing that. But
probably.
regardless, let's move on from Clove Penguin. Let's learn a little bit more about your channel, my man. What makes your channel you know,
Spicy.
no. What makes your channel unique? What do you think is the thing that you do that other streamers don't do?
So I think one thing that I've done that a lot of streamers don't do is I don't really care about the game too much. Um, and so if somebody brings something up that is actually interesting to me, I will jump right into it.
Yeah.
For instance, one thing that I have that a lot of people really, really enjoy, and they mention it a lot the first couple times that they come in,
Mm-hmm.
is my mouse cursor.
Oh.
Something small, simple, but unique.
Yeah.
So I've got a mouse cursor that is Eevee from Pokemon, and it's walking.
Oh.
Whenever it's loading, it's like jumping, like doing like a rear on its back feet
Yeah.
type motion.
Yeah.
And it changes to other EVs depending on what I'm doing. Like it'll do Jolteon, Flareon, Vaporeon, all depending on
I've
what's.
been in your channel a bunch and never noticed that.
Just look at my mouse. It's even when I'm playing Paladins, you can see
Yeah.
it. It's just a little Eevee hovering over the item screen.
No way. That's pretty cool. Is that just like a mod you can just put in there?
So basically, when the image of your mouse cursor is nothing more than a file, and it actually registers GIF files.
Okay. Oh.
So what you do is you go online and you find a website. Just type in custom mouse cursor.
Yeah.
You can type in anything you want. In fact, if you want my exact one, you just type in like Eevee Family Evolution or something like that. Eevee Family Evolution. And you can find it. Then you go into your settings in the bottom left corner. You type in mouse and pointer, and it will pop up. You click it. You take each individual mouse point that you want to change. There will be a drop-down bar at the top. You take it and you move it to custom. You can rename it. You can save it. You can move the file.
Yeah.
I can actually take that file, put it in a zip, put it in your Discord, and absolutely anybody in your server can take my exact file, download it to a very specific spot in their computer, and all they have to do is go down to that drop-down box, and they can use my mouse cursor set.
Oh, okay. Dude, that's cool. Later, Melon.
So,
have a good
one thing that I would say is really interesting and unique about my stream that I don't see a lot of other streamers do is I will actually stop what I'm doing and show you how to do that.
Oh, that's cool.
Right then and there.
more going back to the whole thing you were talking about at the beginning with like being teachable, helping people with their streams, and like making those things unique. That's really cool, man. That's really cool.
I love the technology side, and I love helping people learn how to do it because it's fascinating and interesting to me. And a lot of people don't really know everything that you can do with it.
Yeah.
And so it's fun for me to see them get excited, like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah. And then you can. It's just it's just that whole aspect of helping people, man. That's. I love that part of it too. I think if you are a streamer and you're not helping people, if you're just in it for yourself, you're not going to go very far. And I don't know why that is. I think Twitch is a very community oriented thing, and if you don't have the backing of people in your community, then you're just kind of screwed. It's just not going to work out for you, unfortunately.
I think,
and it's not. And sometimes it's like maybe you're just doing these things for selfish reasons, but it's not that. You got to genuinely like helping other people and pushing other people to be better at streaming. At the end of the day, at least
it's true.
That's kind of what I found, and like. I don't know. I feel like if I was in this for myself, like 100%, I think I'd probably be one of those 1 in 3, 1 of 10 people that just get off, and stop streaming completely. But it's like the fact that I can have that outreach and help other people do what they want to do and do what they love is really cool. And I sense that with your channel as well. So that's freaking awesome, man. What type of games do you like to play on stream? And then we'll follow that up with what is your favorite game? Because I found that these two things are different usually.
Fair. The The first 2 years, I basically mained in the battle royale genre.
Okay.
So I played and actually tried to get really good at any battle royale that I laid my hands on. From PUBG, which I only got to play the mobile version, but funny enough, I was actually really, really good at mobile shooters. I think it
Yeah,
was
I could
because I was
never do
like the
that.
only player that had a good internet connection for Wi-Fi.
I could never. The screen controls, man, they get me every time. I can't do that.
See, it bothered me as well, but what I realized is if you use a shotgun and you just what would basically be the equivalent of W keying people,
Yeah.
most of them can't aim enough, even with the god tier aim assist on mobile, to do anything about it if you just zigzag. And so I would just like zigzag up to them and be like, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you, and then just pop them in the
Pop
face with
'em.
the shotgun. And it was rude. And
Yeah.
I also have a very steady thumb. Um, I guess just because of how many video games I've played
Yeah.
throughout my life.
Yeah.
And so I actually could take control of that aim assist.
Oh, cool.
And like I said, it was god tier aim
Yeah.
assist.
No, they
So
don't. They purposely do that though, because of how bad the controls are.
exactly. And I was on an Android phone, so it made a difference. If I was on an iPhone, I probably would have gone 16 kills a game to like 25, to be honest. It was
Yeah.
insane how bad the players were on mobile. But again,
Yeah.
I don't blame the players. I blame the internet connection and the controls.
It's probably the players too, to be honest. You're probably, I mean, especially with those mobile games, you're going up against usually just super little kids.
It's true. Not to mention the fact that I played battle royales so often. By the time that I actually picked that up, I knew how to position myself in a battle royale.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't just run through a field. I
No.
was going from rock to tree.
No, but it's a whole different. I feel like Battle Royale really opened up a whole different competitive field. The way that it works, you can't just run out shooting. You know what I mean? Like with how COD used to be. That jump from like basically COD being like multiplayer COD being god tier to battle royales taking over the market. I mean that adjustment was very jarring for a lot of people because a lot of people were just running out, gunning and shooting and getting killed right away, and they're like, "Well, this is stupid. I don't even get to respawn." You know what I mean? So
It's true, but at the same time, because of that fact, getting a kill is a huge burst of dopamine.
yeah, that's true. Makes
And
sense.
so it's addicting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude.
It
Oh yeah.
redefined the mass online multiplayer experience,
Yeah. No, absolutely.
in my opinion.
And
Because
I
it's
think
not exactly an
we weren't able
MMO,
to
but
do
it's
that.
new.
We weren't able to do that up until recently, just because of the amount of server taxing and the amount of internet speeds that you need for that. And
Exactly.
so it's a genre that couldn't have existed 10 years ago. Period. I mean, they've tried things like, I don't know if you remember the PS2 game Meg.
Hmm.
There was a PS2 game called Meg, and it was Massive Action Game, is what that standed for. And it was I think it was like 40v40, and like basically it started from the top down. You had like a general, and then you had like people underneath you, and you had broken up into different squads. And it was very complex and complicated, overly complicated, some would say. And it ended up dying just because of A, probably server issues, and B, because of it was either PS2. I think it might have been a PS3 game. I can't remember now, but it was like kind of ahead of its time with like the huge battles that it was doing, and it wasn't like a battle royale, but it was kind of like the beginning of
What
that
did MEG stand for?
massive action game. Yeah, it was a thing. It was a thing. I have Meg for PS3. Zizu's got it. I bet you the servers are so closed by now.
Oh, MAG. I have heard of
Yeah,
that.
that was kind of like one of the first, like, okay, we have 80 people at a match. And they were trying to figure out how to organize that many people so that it was one side was fighting the other side, and it did not go well for them.
I believe it. Although I will say, if they did not do it properly, I do know of that could have done it properly, but never took the actual opportunity to until the genre was actually released.
The small lobbies are 64 people, but the big matches are 256 people. Holy shit. That's so
That
many
sounds
people.
amazing.
I think their problem was they were trying to get too organized with it, though. I think I think that they were like, okay, like you have your squad, and then there, here's the plan and this and that. I think Battlefield came along with their. I think Battlefield had their 40v40 or whatever. That's what they were doing.
32v32
Yeah, and I
64
think
player
that
lobbies.
they did it a lot better. It wasn't as
That's
huge, but
that's actually the game that I was going to bring up. If Battle Royale, they had actually created a Battle Royale, one life, last person standing wins.
Yeah. Interesting. I didn't know that.
No, they didn't. I'm saying if they had, Battlefield
would have beat
would
everyone.
have been the first Battle Royale. Not only that, Fortnite wouldn't have its popularity right now.
Oh man, maybe not. I think Fortnite in and of itself is a phenomenon. And
H1Z1 and PUBG are the two games that redefined the multiplayer experience because it was a battle royale, and Fortnite came and redefined it again by perfecting it.
Well, Fortnite wasn't even supposed to be a battle royale. Fortnite was originally a tower defense game, and so
a third-person tower defense game, which is weird as fuck.
Yeah, it's so weird what that game was originally supposed to be, and then they saw the battle royale thing coming out. Donkey's saying Battlefield did have battle royale.
It did, but it wasn't until after Battle Royale had become a major thing. If I'm wrong, please correct me, because that's information I did not know.
So I thought
and
H1Z1 was the first one. Was like the very first one to do battle royale, correct? H1Z1.
Yes, H1Z1, and then PUBG, and then it was Fortnite.
Yeah, and then it just kind of took off from there. It was trash.
It was trash. I've played.
Yeah, H1Z1 was trash, or was the Battlefield trash?
It was Battlefield. Well, actually, H1Z1 and Battlefield's Battle Royale were trash.
Yeah. There's such a fine line there that you really gotta you can't really cross it with those Battle Royales. It's gotta be fun, but it can't be like to the point where you're just like, this is just stupid because you have people sniping everywhere. Both.
Exactly.
I love it. So what would you say is your favorite game then?
Of all time or
all time?
Right now?
Let's say of all time. I know that's a tough question. It's like too many games.
I wouldn't say this is my favorite game because I can't really pick a favorite. I've played way too many video games. I beat The Legend of Zelda at the time when I was 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
I've been playing video games a long time.
Yeah, damn.
I would say the game that probably made the biggest impact on me as a person
was what?
Infamous.
Oh, good choice.
The game really struck me because as somebody who is bipolar, we're speaking of which I finally got fully diagnosed for that, so I know it's true. As somebody who always believed that they were bipolar when they were growing up, it spoke to me in a weird way because you got to choose your path of being good or evil. And that really spoke to me in a sense of my mania and depression.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times in my mania, I wanted to be a good person. In my depression, I hated everybody.
Yeah.
And so going through that game, I actually ended up beating it 3 times. I beat it once as a good guy, once as a bad guy, and once going neutral. Which is technically impossible, but if you do certain things good and certain things bad, then it doesn't really affect the game that much other than giving you a boost of karma.
Yeah.
Except for 2 scenes, which is his girlfriend's death and the very last scene before the main fight where you have to choose to use the device or not.
Yeah. Such a good game.
And so if you choose to go evil on that device, it makes you evil forever. But if you chose to go good, then it didn't really make too much of a difference.
Yeah. Okay.
So you basically just balance out your choices and you make sure you choose good at the end. And it lets you do a neutral playthrough.
Interesting.
So I kind of did that as a way to make a metaphor to myself of this is your good side, this is your bad side, and this is the in-between.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, and the in-between was the one that made the biggest impact on me because I was making choices based off of how I felt. And I don't like to do that in video games. I make choices based off of being the good person.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
am always the good Samaritan in video
I
games.
try to do that
If you
too.
attack somebody in Skyrim who's just walking by and saying hi to you in a village, I will scream at you.
Dude,
He
I
did
feel
nothing
that
wrong. Why are you
100%.
shedding blood?
I feel that's 100%. It's so hard for me to take the bad route in games, and I don't know why that is. And I talk to people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, dude, I always go the bad route." And I'm like, there's something a little bit off with that guy. There's something just a little bit off with that. You know what I mean? Like,
Just a little bit.
just a little bit. Like, why are you
It's like, I don't
choosing
know
to
if I
be the
trust you
bad
with my
person? What is
children.
appealing about that? But I understand it for like second playthroughs and stuff. But like initially through games, I try to go through it super neutral or just do the natural path through games, like which I, especially in choice games like that, you know, like Mass Effect, things like that, or pretty much any BioWare game. I try to just be like, okay, this is the natural path that I take, is who I am, and it's just kind of funny how sometimes as bad is easier. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But sometimes I don't know. I
Being
just
bad
always
usually makes you more powerful.
yeah, I can. I mean, the dark side. You know what I mean? The dark side has the better powers. You got the
It's
lightning.
true.
You got the strangles. You know what I mean? Like
Okay, so there's actually a very good reason for that outside of just Star Wars lore. If you think about it, pain and suffering will give you more ideas how to use different things. Like for instance, we can take this into Star Wars. A Jedi is going to think of the power of the Force and being able to like move things and like kind of like the telekinesis aspect,
yeah,
like the Force choke is, right?
yeah,
And he's just going to be like I'm gonna make this relevant in fucking today's society. I'm chilling with my friends. We're all chilling on the couch, and I've got like a 2 liter of soda in front of me, and my friend is like 4 feet over on the other end of the couch, and he's just like, "I don't want to get up, man. I'm thirsty," and I can just be like, "Lift the soda. Here you go, man."
yeah.
That's what a good Jedi would think. Now, a Sith would be like, "You're thirsty? I can move things with my hand." Grab his entire body and throws him towards the soda. Like, that requires a lot more energy. But you think about something that you want to do and you do it. While
Fair.
on the good side, you typically
You
don't need to
think of it
use
from
that
one
much
angle.
energy because you're using it for what's necessary.
Interesting viewpoint. You're basically just saying like they get more creative because they can,
They
essentially.
get more creative because I
There's no
personally feel
limits.
like pain and anger will make you think a lot more about what you can do with something. For instance, we can actually take this into a really weird perspective of the sense of, let's say you're in a relationship and everything is really happy, right?
Sure.
When you go into a bad point of the relationship and you guys start thinking terrible things about each other because you're both super fucking pissed off, would you ever think about that if you were on the good side?
No.
There you go.
That just went real dark, real fast. Um,
I like psychology.
yeah, right. Oh my god, they got dark. So by the way, anything else you want to say about your channel, about yourself, about what you're doing, before we
Um,
kind of move on from this part of it?
I would say, because I know you have a lot of content creators in your chat right now and I haven't really been keeping in tabs with a lot of people lately.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this. Guys, please take care of yourself first. I know your stream is important, and I know that all of us want to make it somewhere in this world. But take care of yourself first.
Hell yeah.
Trust me. It makes things a lot easier if you make sure that your mental health and that your finances are in a really good spot and that you're actually able to do this in a comfortable position where you're in a good mood.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, and that bad mood starts to affect you, I promise it'll affect your stream, and that'll just make it worse. And then you go into a downward spiral, and it's not worth it. Because you not just lose views, you lose ideas for content, you lose yourself in a way. Take care of yourselves. That's more important than your content, I promise.
All right.
Because if you take care of yourself, your content will come out better.
That's That's huge. And just your mood overall is just being in a better mood and being better prepared for stuff. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely, 100%. I agree with that. If you take care of yourself mentally and physically, everything you do outside of that will be taken care of in a better nature than if you were to just kind of half-ass everything. And you're not going to grow yourself if you're just half-assing it. That is so very true. All right, man. So I think we're going to move on. I've got a few articles here. I'm going to start off with a more interesting one because I personally am a huge fan of this game. It's what I grew up on. And this is an article from John Porter at The Verge. It's GoldenEye. GoldenEye's canceled Xbox 360 remake leaks online and it's playable. A remake of Nintendo 64's classic GoldenEye 007 is leaked online and it's playable on PC using emulators. The game, which was originally destined for the Xbox 360's live arcade services, includes the original single-player campaign as well as local split-screen multiplayer, but online multiplayer and leaderboards are reportedly missing. The whole package has received a graphical overhaul where players can switch back to the original graphics with a button press. So that's just kind of like the... goddamn dog. Just barking. And now my daughter's on the other side of the door laughing at the dog barking. It's fantastic.
Higa boy.
Yeah, right? He's just like... going nuts. Anyways, so to me this is very exciting news because I've always wanted to see a remake of this game in like current day style. And they did remake this game, but it was more like a Call of Duty than it was actually a remake of Gold 007. I want to see like just graphics up-resed on the N64 version, just make it completely the same way, but it's different. But apparently what was holding this all back, and it kind of touches on this later in the article if you want to go check it out on The Verge, it kind of talks about how there's just too many license holders between, between Nintendo, Rare, MGM, I think, is the holder of the license that has to release that, and then the people who actually own the GoldenEye, which apparently one of the people, you want to know what her name is, who own, like, one of the big spokesperson of the Bond licenses? Her name is Barbara Broccoli. Barbara Broccoli owns, and the Broccoli family own, the rights to GoldenEye. So getting them involved as well has been is kind of a pain in the butt. So it's something that's been hard to do to get this game out. Barbara Broccoli, that's right. Her parents loved her. Anyways, so yeah, man, what do you think? Did you ever play GoldenEye growing up? Is this something that you'd be interested in playing? Yeah, 100%. Well, you said Ocarina of Time. You beat that at 2. So I mean, like, you had to have been squeaking in some GoldenEye matches there. You know what I mean?
I played 4-player split screen GoldenEye with my 3 siblings. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's, I mean, like, what you do, back then.
It really was, though. It was funny though because I never, when I was that young, I didn't understand what I was doing in video games.
Yeah.
I just have I have this weird thing where I can memorize things very easily. It's been a thing ever since I was a kid, and so the way that I actually beat and played video games was watching everybody else and learning what they were doing.
Okay.
And mimicking it.
Yeah.
So when we played GoldenEye, it would basically be like me looking at everybody else's screen to watch what they're doing. And I taught myself how to aim like that.
Okay.
And then I would teach myself where items in the map were like that. When it came to Zelda, I would watch my older siblings play the game, beat it. Literally just sit there for like 4 hours watching them go from here to here to here to here.
Yeah.
And I would just memorize it. And then when they got off, I would get on and I would go do the same thing. And if I went further than them, I don't believe this, but my mom told me that Zelda taught me how to read.
Oh.
Because I would play the game, and when I got stuck, I was able to go further than an area that I had seen because I would read the dialogue from what my mom said.
Oh, interesting.
And apparently I would go up to her and be like, I can't read this whenever I got stuck.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I remember not being able to read until I got into school.
Yeah.
So what I think really happened is I memorized the words that would appear on the screen from an even younger age, because by the time I was watching my sister play it and I was playing it, that was like her third playthrough.
Yeah.
So I think it was like subconscious memories from a younger age, remembering the text, recalling it, and just understanding what to do after
Understanding what
that.
it said. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, I don't think I ever actually understood what the words meant. I don't think I was ever actually reading. I think it was more of like red light, red, go this way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it was really good about giving you visual clues in the text too, about like it colored certain words in the text that were important, and I'm sure
Yes, they highlighted very important names of locations and people red.
Yep. Yep. I remember that very specifically. So
yeah,
but,
I always liked the text because it was like it glue gold, and then there was red for important things, and I was just like, this is nice.
Yeah,
this is really nice.
It worked well. It worked well.
I gotta admit though, that game had some of the most visually appealing subtitles, and it was such an early game.
Well, I think that game in general was just super visually appealing. I think it just had so many cool things going for it that were different from the time. The Nintendo 64 actually just revolutionized so many things from platformer. I mean, if you think about like the jump, PlayStation was doing the same thing, but I don't think it had the impact that the Nintendo 64 did on things like platformers and things like it really brought that first person genre into light with GoldenEye. And I think that's the cool thing about GoldenEye is that basically first person shooters didn't exist on consoles until GoldenEye came out and made it a thing and was able to kind of bridge that gap between PC and console. Because I remember when I was a kid playing GoldenEye, before that I had played a ton of first person shooters like Quake and Doom and Wolfenstein, and like first person shooters have been around a long time, but they've never been able to translate them onto consoles very well. Sure, they had like I think Super Nintendo had Doom on it. I'm almost positive Super Nintendo had Doom on it, but it just didn't translate as well just because of how it happened, like just basically the controls. But once GoldenEye came out, that all changed, and then Halo came out, and it was like game on. Doom.
True.
SNES.
It's funny that you said that. I actually just looked up what it was.
Yes, Doom was on SNES, and Doom took advantage of that FX chip. That's interesting. You know how
FX chip?
Well, so later Super Nintendo games like Star Fox had an actual FX chip that that they put inside. So it wasn't in the Nintendo; they actually put it in the cartridge that enhanced the graphics. So
that's cool. Yeah. That's why certain cartridges were heavier.
That's correct. That's correct. So
that always made me so like confused as a kid.
Yeah. Crazy, huh? Crazy how that works.
That's insane.
Yeah, that kind of blows your mind a little bit, doesn't it? And it's the same thing with if you look at.
That's why certain Nintendo. Oh.
And like
they had batteries in them.
I think every cartridge had batteries in them, but by the way, I'm just going to pause real quick. Andre, Link isn't here right now, so I'm going to refund your points back to you. Just so you know.
Andre.
So your points are back to you. Just letting you know. So sorry, that just totally threw me off for a second. But yeah, some cartridges are actually heavier because they have bigger memory in them. Like if you're holding a copy of Super Mario on Nintendo 64 and a copy of, say, Resident Evil 2 on Nintendo 64, Resident Evil 2's memory on N64 was like 60. I think it was actually the 64-bit cartridge or like 64 megabyte cartridge, and then the cartridge for Super Mario was like 16. So there's actually a difference in weight in the two cartridges as well. So
interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, because it had more memory in it. And it's one of those things where, yeah, they would, instead of like improving the hardware inside of the actual console itself, that's the advantage with the cartridges, is they could actually modify the cartridges to run better games to help the games come out better.
Unfortunately, cartridges don't run as well as discs do, otherwise we'd still be running them.
Well, the Switch runs them.
You do have a point there, and
They
it
are
doesn't
actually
run them
solid. They're
terribly.
solid state memory. It's the original solid
You're
state memory.
right. I was about to say you're right. They have updated them to a point to
Hmm.
where they're very useful now. In
Well,
fact, cartridges are actually a lot better and safer in my opinion because the new Super Mario Bros. Cartridge for the Nintendo DS, the original
yeah.
Nintendo DS, got left in a bucket of water for 2 weeks. The game was lost for 2 weeks. One day, we were trying to play it during a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
We found it outside in a flower pot.
Oh,
Don't know how it got there,
I'm
but it was on the
sure.
bottom of the flower pot.
Sure, something happened though, for sure. Something fishy.
That flower pot was full of water. I reached in there, I grabbed it, I went to my brother, and I was like, I found it! He was like, where was it? It was like, it was outside in the flower pot. And he was like, was there water in it? Because we just moved to Florida, and we both knew that.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was in the bottom of the flower pot that was full of water.
Oof.
And he was like,
Rip.
it's probably not going to work anymore. I was like, it doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're not wrong. So he ran into the rim and grabbed the DS. I went in behind him and I handed it to him. He plugged it in. Lo and behold, that bitch worked.
Dang. Well, you know what the funny thing is?
Cartridges are better because a disc would never have survived that.
No, and if somehow it wasn't like it must have dried out or something too, like as far as
it
like,
was still wet when we plugged it into the DS.
Really? Ooh, that's risky. That's risky.
We
right
were
there, 'cause I know
we were like
fry
11
it.
and 12. We weren't smart.
Yeah, you weren't thinking about that because I know that can definitely fry it if you like. That's funny. That's actually
That
really
DS
funny.
would still work if we still had it. I can tell you that much. That's the one thing that Nintendo
I've got a
has
DS
above
laying around somewhere. I've definitely got a
every.
DS laying around somewhere.
I've got my 3DS in the bag right there.
Okay.
But that's the one thing that Nintendo had above every company is the sturdiness
Yeah.
of their products.
Well, they make their products for kids, man. I mean, when it comes down to it. I mean, they're like kids are going to abuse this, so it needs to be crazy strong. That's just
It's
how
true.
they ran their business. But, yeah, man, cartridges are a crazy thing, and I think now as you're seeing solid state memory make a comeback as big as it is. I mean, with the M1M or MRM2 sticks, what are those called?
MMR
No,
2?
no, the new like memory that's super big right now. It's basically it looks like a piece of memory. It's like MRM2 to memory hard drive. It is MRM2.
MRM Precision?
No, that's not it. 5 hard drive.
Mark 2?
I got the name right here. It is a NVMe is what it is. NVMe solid state memory. That's like the new big thing right now as far as like solid state and how fast it is. And like even like the solid state SSDs are like slower than the technology, the NVMe. And that's going to be the next big thing that you're really seeing coming out. As far as like that goes. And now pretty much like your hard drive's no longer going to look like a little box. It's now going to just look like a piece of memory, essentially, that you plug into your computer. It's crazy. It's crazy, these things. I love it. I love the technology.
I'm actually looking at these right now.
Yeah. Here,
what's so special about them? They look like standard SSDs.
What, these things right here?
Yeah.
I'll pull it up on my screen right here. It's this guy right here.
Because I'm looking at one right now. It's the VNAN D970 Evo NVMe M2.
You see, this is what I don't know if you see my stream or not, but this is what I'm looking at.
That's exactly what I'm looking at, except
see,
it's a smaller.
It looks like a piece of memory almost, though.
1 terabyte. Oop.
They're expensive.
1 byte. 1 terabyte.
For a terabyte, it's not cheap. But this is what you're going to need this is what plugs into the PS5, essentially, as well.
How much is that?
This one right here for a terabyte's $140. So, and they're only gonna
Found it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see what's so great about this thing. Enhanced bandwidth, low latency, and power efficiency, ideal for tech enthusiasts,
Super
high-end
fast.
gamers, and oh, okay,
Yeah, they're crazy fast. I mean, like even compared to solid state drives, they're nuts.
I'm about to compare this to the one I currently have.
Well, they're write speed. So if you compare it to like a normal SSD, and it says it's down below, an SSD write speed is up to 530 megabytes per second. With the NVM2, it's 2,500 megabytes per second. It's literally 5 times the speed. It's crazy. So, and I know it gets to a point, it's like, does it matter if it's that much faster? And yes, it does. You shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. It does matter.
It actually does matter.
Yeah, it matters huge. But even, I mean, my solid state drive right now is fast. Like, it's fast. But having one of these things just would be insane.
It's got okay, so I've got an Mark II PCIe Gen 3 SSD, NVMe. Actually,
But you've got to have a motherboard that interfaces with this type of memory. Yes.
I think I have this.
Is that what you're
I think I'm running this on a lower memory. Instead of a terabyte, I've got 256 gigabytes because I'm not using it as a main memory source. I'm using it strictly for the operating system.
Yeah, if you
were
faster
to boots.
run your games off of that, it'd be crazy fast.
Let's see. It's got a read speed of 3,100 megabytes per second, while this one has the terabyte one has a read speed of 3,400 megabytes per second. That's not much of a leap, but in terms of memory, that's actually still a
significant,
fairly decent leap. So let me look at the GTX 1660 Super and see what its read speed is in terms of being able to. Oh wait, not the fucking graphics card. What am I doing?
We're looking at hard drive
memory. Barracuda 1 terabyte external hard drive. Oh wait, no, I've got the 2 terabyte. Oh wait, not external, internal. Why am I so stupid?
You're not. You're not. You got this.
Okay, here it is. Oh man, the price for it went down. Price for everything. Man, I could get my computer for so much cheaper than what I paid for it right now.
Yeah.
I'm just so annoyed.
Yeah, no, don't be, because that's just how computers work.
I know. Okay, so let's
find
see.
the computer you want and then buy it in 3 months. That's how it goes.
Maximum data transfer rate. Here we go. 220 megabytes per second. So, oh.
Yes.
Oh.
What? Enlighten us quickly.
If I were to switch my games from my hard drive to my SSD,
yeah,
I would go from running 220 megabytes per second to 3,100 megabytes per second.
There you go. There you go.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Difference.
That's over a 15 times multiplier.
Yes, sir. Dude, solid state memory is where it's at. Full circle, right there. Full circle.
I was always told to run solid state memory for nothing other than your operating system and install absolutely everything else onto your hard drive, strictly for storage purposes.
Well, for storage.
Now I'm learning for speed purposes and optimization purposes, you want a buffed up, beefy ass SSD.
Yes.
You want this M2. You want this 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte tiny ass stick.
Yep.
Because one, this is going to take up less space in your computer, less space and weight in your computer.
If your motherboard can hold it, and do that memory, because it takes a certain type of motherboard to actually run that memory as well.
So if you get an MSI Tomahawk Max or an MSI Gaming Max, you'll be good to go.
More than likely.
Those, granted, those do not work with Intel processors. Those are AMD chipsets, so make sure that you keep that in mind. But those are two motherboards that I know that can run this because I have the NVMe M2. I just have a low data on it.
Yeah. If you were to spend that $150, you get a terabyte one, and you could run most of your games off of that. Would be the way to
Okay, let me put it this way. I've got absolutely nothing on my SSD right now.
Yeah.
As soon as we're done with the stream today, I'm moving Epic Games over to the SSD.
Yeah. Why not?
Paladins is going to run a lot smoother now.
Yes, it is. Dude, that's crazy. All right, there's one last thing I want to touch on since we've touched on that, and that's, you know what, honestly, maybe we should just get to games. I mean, okay, so I was going to read one more article that I think is interesting because I think cloud gaming in general is interesting, and this to me...
We can keep it brief.
What was that?
We can keep it brief.
Okay, we'll keep this brief. So here's the article that I pulled. It's from Polygon, Michael McWarner, and it's Google shuts down its internal Stadia game studio. So Google is shutting down its internal game develop studio tasked with making video games for Stadia. The company's game streaming platform, Stadia's GM and Vice President Phil Harrison, announced the closure of Stadia Games and Entertainment on Monday on the Stadia blog. Here's a quote from him. "Creating in-class games from the ground up takes many years and significant investment, and the cost is going up exponentially," Harrison said. "Given our focus on building the proven technology of Stadia as well as deepening our business partnerships, we've decided that we will not be investing further into bringing exclusive content from our internal development team beyond any near-term planned games." Google Stadia and Entertainment Vice President Jade Raymond is leaving Google, Harrison confirmed, and the decision is to shut down its internal studio will impact approximately 150 developers, according to reports from Kotaku. Harrison says most of the SGE team will be moving to a new role. We're committed to working with the talented team to find new roles and support for them. So basically, they're killing off their game making department, that they made for games exclusively for Stadia. And I think the funniest quote in here, and I kind of glossed over it real quick, but the funniest thing in here is his quote is saying, "Creating best-in-class games from the ground up takes many years and significant investment. Google has the money to invest into this." And so I do not understand why they're not pushing through this, because as we all know, most of these platforms survive. They even thrive on their exclusives. You look at Sony, and what they're doing with their Sony, their group of Sony studios, Sony Worldwide, and it's insane how many games they pump out, but they are on top because of their content. You look at Nintendo, same thing. They have that same outlook. It's our software drives our hardware. What do you think the implications of this is going to be for Stadia now that they're not going to have their own content?
I think they're pulling the right move.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really? I think the exact opposite.
I got a reason for it. Here's the thing. Google is an interesting company. They've branched out into a lot of things. They started as a web browser, started buying out a bunch of different things to where they've got pretty much anything you could really think about. Calendars, calculators. They own YouTube now.
Yeah.
They've got an app for pretty much anything you could possibly ever need.
Yes.
Victoria got me an iPhone, and I still use Google Apps instead.
Interesting.
Well, I was on the Android for so long, all my data's on it, and it's just transferred over. It just makes life easier.
I do the same thing where I'm using a ton of Google Apps on my iPhone.
Exactly. So, granted, they branch out into a lot of things like this. One thing that they've never branched out to is video games. And granted, they do have the Play Store, and they do have a lot of app developers on there. Most of those are either companies trying to make a quick buck or indie developers trying to grow their name in the development industry. So when it comes to spending a couple $1 million on the equipment,
this is
the
more than a
programs, the
cup of money.
software, the
It's hundreds of millions.
people.
Yeah, hundreds of millions of dollars.
If you think about it from a business aspect, yes, they have the money to do that, but they would have to liquidate some assets to be able to properly fund that.
Which they have, though. That's the thing. They have the money. They have the assets. I'm looking at this as a precursor to Stadia's death.
But they would have to liquidate their assets.
They'd just reallocate it. They wouldn't liquidate anything. Like they're saying they're going to reallocate their people. They're going to reallocate all their assets and stuff, and probably plug it in more into their app development type stuff. But I really think this is the precursor to the death of Stadia. Like
I want to disagree with you, but you're probably not wrong.
Yeah,
I have an idea of what Google's doing here. So the reason I said that they needed to liquidate their assets and not just move them around is because if they move them around, they don't have any cash. That's the problem. They need the cash because they have to be able.
They have the cash.
They are. You think they do? You think they do?
Company. They 100% do.
No.
Advertising gets just as like a money printer.
Yes, but it's not as much as you think.
Oh, it is.
And also, think about how much they allocate it. So, fun fact, you should talk to Siriat about all of this, because he actually knows how the businesses work, and you know how everybody's always like, oh, tax Jeff Bezos, blah, 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 he makes way too much money with Amazon?
Well, most of his money's tied up in stock.
Most of his money is not only tied up in stock, but also assets. Google, believe it or not, is the same way. And so Google doesn't actually have the money to afford all of this.
They've got so much liquid, dude. I can almost guarantee you they do.
But is it a good investment? They don't have.
If they want to grow that platform, and that they've already poured millions of dollars into. Yeah, it is.
But they don't have the necessary information due to the fact that they've never been in this industry to prove that to themselves.
That's the problem.
Or their investors.
Because, I mean, like, what you need to strive for is you need to strive for what I like to call the Breath of the Wild effect. You need that killer app. If you had a game on Stadia that you could only play on Stadia, people would be flocking there. But the problem is they don't.
You want to know what would have made Google Stadia the biggest and most relevant gaming platform ever?
If someone else would have made it.
If Genshin Impact wasn't exclusive for it.
That would have been huge. That would have been
big. Would have been.
Or do you think it would have gone the other way and no one would have played Genshin Impact?
I think that if they refused to put it on PC and they put it on mobile and they put Stadia, but Stadia came with like 100+ extra features.
Yeah.
People would be flocking to Stadia after playing Genshin Impact on mobile.
Stadia has been a disaster from launch forward, and I think they don't have the apps. I think this is the first step to them slowly winding down the Stadia experiment. I do not think they're going to stick with it. I think they're going to get out of it entirely.
I personally think that they don't have the right backing in terms of investment, and that their investors are all sitting here saying, you need to stop. There's no way you're going to be able to compare to Xbox or PS5. Or PCs, for that matter. There's no reason for you to be wasting your money like this when you could, be investing it into more things that we actually know are going to work. Why aren't you putting more investment money into something like Google Glass? That was a wonderful idea, and everybody's loving the idea of augmented reality through their glasses. Why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? Why haven't you done that? And they probably got pressured of backing out.
They're too diversified, almost, to focus on video games the way that it needs to be focused on. Here, you want to hear my bold prediction out of all this?
I do have one last thing to say about this.
Oh, go ahead.
I feel like they pulled out for that reason. And this is why earlier I said I think you're wrong, but you're probably right. They're going to be using this as a time. They're going to be taking those developers and putting them into different spaces for different resources.
Yes.
If they come, but they're still working on Stadia. They could technically be giving them time to work on this so that the upper management teams can work on what they actually want out of their exclusives and what they actually want out of this so that they can come back with a full-on plan rather than just going into this blindly being like, Okay, you're a development team, you're a development team, you're a development team, you're a development team. Come up with some shit. Let's see what we got.
Yeah.
If they came back to him with a full-on plan, like, hey, we had a storyboard, we had an artist, we had like a storyboarder, an artist, we had a whole team. We think we've got a good game that we can make. Can you guys program this exclusive and make sure that it's a banger? If they did that, I think the shit blow
Or
up.
maybe they'll. My other thing is maybe they're gonna buy out a studio and do exclusives that way. I don't know. That seems to be the hot thing to do right now is buying up studios.
That's a great idea. I didn't even think about that.
But we'll see what the future holds for that. I don't know. I think Stadia is just gonna die. I think it's gonna die. My prediction is they're gonna sell all their technology to Sony, and Sony's gonna compete against. It's gonna be Sony Stadia. They're gonna or PlayStation Stadia, and that's gonna be their cloud-based thing. Right now, they're just doing their PlayStation Now, but I think what they'll do is they'll buy that. Sony will buy the Stadia rights. They'll plug that in. It already has name recognition, and they'll compete directly with Xbox and their xCloud. I'm calling it right here. You can come back to me in 3 years when that happens and be like, oh my God, Dave called it. Dave effing called it. All right, so this is where we're going to have to end this. Unfortunately, I hate to say this, since we're going to have to put off Paladins till later tonight. Because I've got to go pick my dog up from the groomer. I thought I'd have more time, but I don't. So,
oh, that's fine. Are we going to do that when you get back? Or you...
Probably a little bit later tonight if you're free.
All right, no problem.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I'll come back on stream a little bit later tonight. Probably, you're up usually pretty late anyways, so probably around like, it'd probably be like 9 o'clock my time ish. If that's okay, so that'd be like around midnight your time. Are you available then? Are you gonna be up? Are you gonna be streaming?
Possibly. We'll see what happens. Just let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know what's going on throughout the day. Maybe we can do it a little bit earlier. Hey, bye, Andre. Thanks for hanging out, man. So I'm gonna do my outro here, and
appreciate you, Andre.
Gonna get going. So hey, I just want to thank you for watching this week's episode of Chatterday. I want to thank our guest, Subjected Sins, for taking time out of his morning and waking up early to be here with us. What is your stream schedule, by the way? I wanted to ask you, just so you can plug yourself here.
I've been going through a lot of errands and trying to get my life together recently, like doctors, appointments, what's it called? Interviews, all that kind of stuff. Haven't really been streaming much lately, but we're going to be going, technical schedule is 8 p.m. to midnight.
Okay.
If things go as planned, then that will stop in March because I'm going to be getting a full-time job.
Cool.
So until then, let's just say like 8, somewhere between 4 and 6 to midnight.
Okay, cool. Very cool. So if you don't have time to watch this video, I've got you. I'm sorry. If you missed some of the episode, you can find it on YouTube. Just search for Dave_Loudon on YouTube. I've also got a link in my abouts. If you don't have time to watch the video, I also have you covered. Just type Chatterday into Apple Podcasts or SoundCloud, and you can listen to it there on your car ride, whatever you want to do. Make sure you like and subscribe, all that stuff, though. And I hope you all have an awesome day. Thank you sticking around with us through this whole thing. And watch out for my stream later tonight where we're going to be playing Paladins. Like I said, unfortunately, I cannot do it right now like we normally do. So thanks so much, everyone, and we will see you next Chatterday.
Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah, Zizu says bye. Oh, you got him. Okay. All right, later, guys. Thanks for coming by. Catch you next time.